What's up? What's up? Real MVPs, welcome in to the one, the only. It's MVP Sports Live. It is Dave, my beautiful co-host. I'm with him always. Dave Oster, got to bring you in officially. How you doing?
Doing well, doing well. How are you?
Dave, I want to extend a good job, a little bit of a pat on the back, because as of today, we are officially done with our draft season. All the hard work we put in each and every draft class, it has come to this one a little bit different than others because of the whole pandemic situation. Sean leaving the channel, we took the hiatus, so There was a little bit. It was a unique year for us, but another draft class is over. We'll probably give it a little bit before we hit you with the way too early.
Cade Cunningham right here in the number one next to it with a circle. And that way every day people can remind it of where my big board's at.
Dave's like, that ain't going to fucking change. We got another Zion pick.
Probably not, but who knows? Who knows?
I mean, we're now under officially a week away from the college season. That starts on next Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving. So we'll get to see some of these guys playing.
That's not going to get canceled before it's over.
But at least we might get some games to where we get to see these kids play. Yeah, at what cost? That's a good question. You got a good point. But we're back we had the draft yesterday. Yesterday's show was a complete 4-hour video that I'm going to put up after the show because, today, Dave, knock on wood, my internet all morning was like, it's out, it's not out, it's out, it's not out. So I'm like, shit, we're not going to have a show today. It's windy out. I noticed whenever it's windy outside, Comcast has a fucking problem. Comcast, get your shit together.
I agree.
But luckily it's been okay for now. It's been through the late evening and now night. It's working fine for us. But we got a lot of draft coverage. We got a lot of NBA news coverage on top of it. Today's going to be a long show. Also, just to kick off the housekeeping, alongside this, I am also going to have individual videos of where I'm going to give each team a draft grade. So if we don't talk about a team or mention a team in this kind of show, don't panic. Every team will get covered by us to kind of finite this season. So those will be coming out either tomorrow or this weekend, one of the two, whenever I can get them completely finished. Then the original housekeeping. If you have not joined the best community on in the internet, we got a couple, I think it was 11 new people yesterday, Dave, during the draft.
Nice.
Discord link down below. And then for Twitch, Soapy, being the G that he is, putting it in the Twitch chat for you, !Discord does that. And then Soapy hitting me up with the next one. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVP vids. How you do that. If you're on YouTube, link down below. Or you can click the link in Twitch chat if you're in Twitch, !Patreon always gets you that in Twitch chat. We're live on Twitch every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVP vids. We're also on YouTube at MVP Sports as well, so follow and sub to us at both places. Dave, we have a lot of draft coverage to talk about. We have a lot of in-depth picks to go around because there were some puzzling picks. There were some fallers. There were some ones that were like, oh, is this the right pick? This is the time we can go deep in depth with them. However, what we got to start with is our wheelhouse. We got to start with the Bulls. You and I, both Bulls fans. And Dave, usually I kick it off to you right away with, what do you think about this? But I have a little bit of a rant to go on, Dave. So if you would allow me to go on my rant, this is going to take a little bit. But I think it needs to be said Bulls fans need to calm the fuck down. That's what we need to do. I'm going to be as bluntly as possible. Like, I have heard so many people basically bashing the Patrick Williams pick. He's going to be a bust. Why did we pick him? Fire AK. Get rid of AK at me. It's Garpax all over again. Calm the F down. I watched Sylvie today in a fleet today, and he hit it right on the head of basically, think back to a year ago, February 2019. ESPN comes to town for the All-Star game. Stephen A is nervous because all we're chanting is fire Garpax, fire Garpax. They finally listened to us, or Jerry Reinsdorf listened to his kids, one of the two. I would like to think he listened to us.
Both.
And today I went into a little bit of a rant in the Discord because Mad Rogue, who's in the Discord, who's a Bulls fan, was like, all right, he's like, I'm going to bite. He goes, somebody sell me on the Patrick Williams thing. Because he goes, I have some groups where it's like it's a good pick, and I have some groups that are like it's a bad pick. And for me, after I've been thinking about it, this is basically what I said was, first off, okay, I was like, bruh, like it's a good pick. I was confused. I said we were like, if you look at last year, we were bad at rebounding, and the Lowry-Wendell pair is not going to help that. I'm like, he's a combo forward, so he can play the 3 or the 4, which is not bad or never bad. Plus, if Otto gets traded or walks in the offseason, we get a guy at the 3 moving forward who can defend. We need perimeter defense on this team. I even said we need a defender, or we need defenders out there who can basically be like KD and defend, but not be so bad offensively to where it's like, well, fuck, we can't have him out there. Now, it was funny. Mad Rogue was like, which KD? I'm like, the real KD. He didn't understand I was talking about Chris Dunn. That's who I'm talking about. But I went on to say, and these are the last 2 things I put that were like really meaningful, and I want to get this across to Bulls fans. I said, number 1, am I saying Williams will be a star for sure? No. Am I saying he's going to be a bust? No. We don't know. But the Bulls fans need to finally trust our front office. This isn't Garpax anymore. We dumped the girlfriend who always hurt us time after time after time, and we can't go into the new one with the basic PTSD of like, oh, you're going to hurt me like the old one. We can't do that. That's my Colin Cowherdism.
I was going to make that reference, so thanks for cutting me off.
I said one of AK's comments in his presser hit me. He said, I don't want to be picking here again this high. Or the exact quote, I don't want to be picking this high again. That's why I think the Bulls team is gunning for the playoffs this year. No tanks, no sucking for bad picks. They have confidence in their scouting ability to be able to get the best guy for the team no matter where we are. And that they believe the core of this team is good enough to build and add on to. So for me, we need to fucking chill. Patrick Williams was not a bad pick. For the people who are saying, oh, well, we should have traded back, what do I always say, Dave? Well, you need a trade partner to do that. Maybe the price wasn't right for a trade. Let's not bash the pick until we know what Patrick Williams is going to be, because overall, I don't think it was a bad pick. There, rant over. Now to you, Dave. What do you think about the pick? What are your thoughts a day after?
I'm glad I've had a day to think about it, because my initial reaction was stunned.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know how to react to this. Eric, great comment in chat. Here's the problem. You have the 4th pick. You can't miss the pick or overreach this pick.
But it's not an overreach.
Well, that's what I want to talk about. So in regards to the overreach, there was no name flying up draft boards faster in the last 3 days prior to the draft than Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams went from a likely 12th pick to a 10th pick to a 7th pick. And then there were rumors that not only the Pistons were willing to move up for him, but the Cavs were interested in him potentially over Obi Toppin. And that's where you have to start going, okay, well, shit, let's.
Yeah. The T-Wolves also wanted to move up for him.
Yeah, the T-Wolves were also looking to come back up from 17, where they had that initial pick. There was a lot of love for him, and I think the whole thing you have to look at is just he was the youngest kid in the draft. He was strong. He was decently agile. Now, I know he doesn't have the quickest first step, and I know his lateral movement needs some work. So there's a lot of concerns about him being abused at the 3. Look, he is going to be a rookie. He's going to be one of the youngest rookies. Give him time. Physically, he is about as good as you're going to get out of an 18, 19-year-old kid. Like, not many kids are built like that. Let's just establish this. But, like, the work ethic is there. That Florida State team, you hear nothing but praise for their work ethic, their IQ, their teamwork. Everything around that organization is wonderful. So a lot of people are shitting on the fact we didn't even get a guy who started a game in college. It's okay. He finished the game. That's what counts. You want a finisher. You want someone who you can count on under crunch time. I don't give a shit about starts. I want someone who I can trust when the game's on the line. Now, he's not a finished product. He is a blank slate in my mind. He's someone who we can come in and be like, you're going to work on X, Y, and Z, and like that's what AK was talking about. He's like, well, he could play 1 through 5. He can defend 1 through 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like he can do anything. He could be a ball handler. He can do this. He can do that. I've been watching highlights of him being the pick and roll ball handler in some situations. I've seen him be the roll man. I've seen him take shots from the outside off the dribble.
Mm-hmm.
He can catch and shoot. Like he's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that I'm okay with. I mean, as far as guys who are high upside players, he's up there. Like it's basically LaMelo Ball, James Wiseman, Pokusevski, him, Deni Avdija. Like those are those guys. Jaden McDaniels, high upside, but also a lot of those guys have a very low floor. I think Patrick Williams' floor is relatively high compared to the rest of those guys because a versatile wing is such an in-demand position.
Yeah.
Even if his shot doesn't get better and he's just locked into where he's at, like that's still okay. He's just slightly below league average from 3, which I think he can work on. I don't think that's going to stay there, but even if he was locked in, like he's still a valuable player. So that's the thing. As far as Bulls fans should be concerned, feel good, trust AK, trust that we know what we're doing. I think that we're going to see a lot of interesting stuff come out of this draft class. Like the draft as a whole was just a shit show of what the fuckery. So like take a step back, breathe. Don't do what I did last night, which is just try to overreact to everything and just be like wiped out in 5 minutes because I just don't know how to interpret some of that info on the spot.
I mean, the other thing I'm going to go into is you're right. Is he a finished product? No. But, like, the Bulls don't need a finished product. Like, we are a team that, yes, I know I mentioned that maybe AK might be looking at this and going, we can compete. Even if we miss the playoffs and we're drafting, let's say we're between 10 and 14 and we're at the bottom of the lottery.
Next year we'd be in the lottery, or we would be in the playoffs, right?
Yeah. But let's say, like, we're basically, I'm going to say, like, we're the Kings and the Grizzlies were, where we missed the playoffs, but we're still in the lottery. I think AK, like I said, has the confidence that they can get the best player there. And with AK, maybe AK and ME think, maybe at that point, like, hey, maybe we're at 14. Maybe then we move up. Like, trading up is a possibility. Now, yes, finding the trade partner is the big difficulty when it comes to a trade. But the thing Sam posted in the Discord, too, got me on the other side of it. And this is where, like, different fan bases and where different teams are. We are not a team, like I'm going to throw out the Pacers or like the 76ers, where we're already in the middle of the playoffs. We need 1 or 2 pieces to overcome a hump. We're not there. We're a team that is outside of the playoffs. If we make the 8th seed, that's phenomenal. That means huge improvement for us. And we're getting better each and every draft class and each and every free agency. We don't know what AKME are going to do this free agency season and what their plan is for next year's as well. But Sam put a quote from Patrick Williams that was about coming off the bench at Florida State. And he said, "It just taught me how to do your part, whatever your part is, whether it's coming off the bench or whether that's starting and playing big minutes. It just taught me to do my part and do it well. Coming off the bench and not starting with getting maybe 12 minutes a game initially, I think you see that I did well in that 12 minutes, and then towards the end of the season, those minutes increased. And I kind of just embraced that role. In the NBA, it's all about roles. Everybody can't be a LeBron James from day one or a Michael Jordan from day one. You got to embrace your role and do your role well. Then you're trusted with more. That's the rookie I want coming in, Dave. That is the rookie I want. Like I put right after that, I said, I would rather have that guy than the guy the Wolves drafted who, well, you know, if the NFL drafted me, I wouldn't be playing in the NBA. Give me the guy I just talked about. Give me the guy that is going to be like, hey, whatever my role is, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to work hard each and every day to get better. Does he get to the LeBron James level? Probably not. But at least he's going to work hard, give us his all, and that's what I think is going to be the most beneficial from Patrick Williams. And that's why I think Bulls fans just need to calm the fuck down. We're Chicagoans. It's what we do. We bitch about everything. Like, I even put them, like, sometimes I think Chicagoans just like to bitch and moan. That's all we like to do.
It's a gift, actually.
It's a gift, actually, but it's like, it's so frustrating.
Now, Ricky, not to be contrarian here, but I'm pretty sure last year we had a very high draft pick, not even as high as this, but a pretty high draft pick in Kobe White.
Yep.
And that man rode the Pine Pony for 50 games?
Yeah.
40 games, whatever it was. I'm pretty sure Chicago wasn't cool with that. Pretty sure we freaked the fuck out because Kobe White was someone who wanted to take over games. He wanted to be that Mamba. He wanted to be that killer out there on the floor. And again, attitudes are different. And what Pat Wills said
also
was
a different coach.
What a coach wants to hear. But at the same time, you give me someone like Kobe White out there, and like, I'm also not opposed to that.
Well, yeah,
I don't think there's one right answer for mentality.
Basically, what I'm saying is that was me digging at Anthony. Like, I want Kobe White. I like
shit on the guy who doesn't watch basketball, who's a basketball professional,
or the guy that just it's like, are you in this?
Sport.
Yeah, are you in this? To where it's like the thing that I also thought of, and this was watching some Patrick Williams highlights today. Yep. I've said this, and this is going to be a little bit bold and a little bit on the raunchy side. So if you're basically offensive to that, cover your ears. Basically what I said is watching his film today, I was thinking of Kobe, Zach, and Williams in transition on the fast break. And Dave, if I watch that enough, I may need to change my pants several times this season. That's what it's going to do to me because the possibilities are there. Now, the thing with Williams that's different with Kobe is who were our point guards last year? Ryan Arcidiacono, Chris Dunn, Kobe White, Satoransky. Like, we all thought going into the season last year that, Sato would start as the starter, but as the season goes, Kobe takes over. That's what we thought. Like, Chris Dunn in there for defense. That's what he does.
I thought he would start.
You thought so? Okay.
Yeah, but we had this conversation.
But we thought Kobe White, didn't you think eventually as the season goes on, he would take over the starting role? Weren't you, I, and Sean all on that page?
I think so, even though I think that Sean and I were both on the page of, like, he's a shooting guard.
Okay.
And, like, we done fucked up kind of a moment.
Okay. But, I mean, even in the sense of looking at Williams, I don't think it's going to be a bad thing if he's on the bench.
There's no way he's starting over Otto Porter Jr.
If Otto Porter's healthy, exactly. If Otto's there, he's starting.
Yeah, Otto is a much better player than him today.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. That he doesn't deserve to start over Otto. He doesn't deserve to start over Lowry. So it doesn't matter. Like, he will be coming off the bench for us. So I'm glad he's already got that in his head. Now, if we trade Otto or we trade Lowry, then sure, we could talk about starting. I have no problem there. I think he's already better than Hutch. I'm not worried about that. You know, I'm not gonna get mad because he's stealing minutes from Denzel Valentine out there. Like, no, it's just let the kid play, let him get out there. I want him to get like 25 minutes a night and see where we go from there. Because again, you talked about the limited minutes in college, and that's my only concern is like, will he get run time? I look again back to OKC. Kids got run time. They, I have to give our new head coach, new and improved
head coach elect.
We chose him. Yeah. We didn't get stuck with him because we're cheap and we are bad. Our new head coach elect gave his young kids a chance to run, and he gave them a chance to prove themselves, and he went with his gut, and we got to see that transition from, like, you can play yourself into a role or you can play yourself out of a role. We saw that last year with Terrence Ferguson playing himself out of a starting role. We saw that last year with Baisley moving into a starting role at times. Like, there are different guys, even Lou Dort.
Yeah.
Fucking Lou Dort, my boy out there, stunning the world, playing incredible all-world defense on James Harden, and then for one mighty game, getting hotter than the sun. Like, that's the thing. I think that he will let the kids play, and that's the White Sox fan in me, maybe, because that might have been the White Sox moniker at some point. So shout out there. Like, I really want to see this young team succeed, and I really want to see, like you said, what moves will happen. Yeah. If moves will happen in free agency, because we do have a lot of names on this team who could be moved, but at the same time, I almost wonder what would happen if we kept a lot of similar pieces and ran it back with a head coach who doesn't have his own head inserted in his ass.
Yeah, I think if we make moves, it's by the trade like, depending on where the team is trade deadline, that's where moves may go. I think Otto Porter, if we're a team that by the trade deadline we're not winning and we're not going to make the 8th seed, or it's not known that we're going to make the 8th seed, I could see Otto being on the block because, contract year this year, if healthy. Good point. Zach LaVine, it's kind of like what I said when we talked about could he be traded. Don't trade him this year. If it doesn't work this year, next year we can look to move him. Like, we don't know. AK doesn't know what he's got with this team with Billy Donovan. That's the thing. Like, marketing's a question because of injury and usage. You're adding in the Patrick Williams, which we don't even know what he's going to be like with this team. Otto Porter was injured for much of last year, so it's like,
Wendell missed time.
I think even Gafford missed a little bit of time too. Wasn't he injured later on?
Gafford was rocking the fucking bench because Cristiano Felicio, though.
Fucking Cristiano Felicio.
Yep. The thing I'm excited
for. That contract's almost done, right? Like, we don't need to say his name much anymore in a few years.
Final year.
Okay.
Final year.
Thank God.
The thing I'm excited for with this Bulls team is seeing Kobe White in that starting unit. Will he get the chance to be there? Or will we defer back to Satoransky?
Yeah.
That's my question. I really hope that Kobe White gets a starting unit. Satorans runs a really good second unit. And I really I want to see Kobe, Zach, and Otto out there. And, let's see the starters actually play for more than 5 games next year together, because last year they were all stringing injuries back to back to back to back, and we didn't get to see them play. So my point is still that I thought this team had playoff potential last year. If they're healthy, they still do this year.
Yeah. Moving on, though, Dave, this is a team that arguably in my mind you could have seen as had the best night. And the reason why I bring this up is here were their 4 picks. Yes, they traded Luke Kennard. Soapy was distraught in our Discord. Crispy Flakes, all his reactions was there. 7th pick, they got Killian Hayes, exactly what Piston fans wanted. Killian Hayes. At 16, might be a reach, but if he pans out, like, it fucking works, if he's the guy you want and he works out. Isaiah Stewart at 16. They get a goddamn gift at 19, I'm going to say, because I had him up near fucking 10 to 12 in Sadiq Bey. And then at 38, they take, is it Sabin Lee? That's the one thing. I haven't looked in how to say Lee's first name. Sabin Lee is what I'm going to go with. Kid out of Vanderbilt. But based off the first 3 picks, yes, they lose Luke Kennard, but Dave, based off of Hayes, Stewart, Bey, is there an argument that the Pistons had the best draft last night?
They had a very good draft. Luke Kennard was an unfortunate consequence of them not wanting to pay money. They could have kept him. They would have had to give him a $10 million deal, or like a 10 to 12, probably for the next couple of years, guaranteed. They didn't want to do it, so they flipped him for a first. Now, I think that's shitty. I also agree with you that Isaiah Stewart is a reach. I don't understand why he had as high of a priority as he has. He's got a great motor. He's got a great work ethic. He does not have a great shot. He has an old man's game. And there are a lot of concerns there for me. Had you switched to Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart, would I feel differently? Like, they got them both, but does the order matter? Sort of. I feel maybe that's being like too picky about shit, but like value for pick, 16 to 19 matter that much? I don't know. Like, some people will say yes, some people will say no. I like Sadiq Bey. Smart player, long-term replacement to fill out that wing position. I like everything they did here. I wish that Kennard could have stayed and been part of this rebuilding franchise. I'm more shocked that Derrick Rose is still on this team.
For now.
And Blake Griffin is still on this team for now.
Like, that's the thing. I think that's both of those are for now kind of things. I think Derrick Rose does get moved. Is it to the Lakers like we thought? I don't know. Like, I don't know how the Dennis Schroeder move kind of mixes that up to where, like, have the Lakers been like, well, we got the point guard.
What if the Warriors go all in extra
for fucking Derrick Rose?
Yeah. I mean, Klay's out. Put D Rose at the 1 step at the 2. Problem solved.
I mean, how does that work with them adding, we're going to talk about it later, but adding Kelly Oubre to this team too? Like, are they going to have enough cap room, Dave?
They're already $86 million in debt over the tax just for Oubre. Like,
no, over the tax, but like the cap room, like the cap you can't go over much, especially with depending on how like the contracts work.
They're going to pay over $100 million in taxes because they're over the cap.
Yeah. Which, I mean, they could
I don't care how. I just would like to see Derrick Rose and Steph Curry play alongside each other, man.
Dude, like it's a fantasy book, Ricky. That's what I'm doing.
Yep.
I mean, I personally would be like, send D Rose home. Just what would the price be for Derrick Rose?
We don't need Derrick Rose.
I mean, we don't need him, Dave. But I want
Ricky, AKME. You got to trust.
I trust them. It's just that is me being like, we talked about last night, the year of returns. Rubio coming back to Minnesota. Maybe Derrick Rose comes back home. But like the Pistons, Soapy was kind of selling me on Isaiah Stewart a little bit. Because Isaiah Stewart, the biggest thing that I had the knock with him, and you did too, is like, it's basically his game is described as an old man's game. Where very down low, doesn't have outside skills. Like he's someone that's going to clang and bang in the paint. And Soapy was saying maybe the Pistons are thinking he's the 5 of the future to put next to Sekou at the 4. So basically your lineup of the future right now is Killing at the 1, Sadiq at the 3, Sekou at the 4, Stewart's your future 5. Sadiq could be 2 or 3.
I'm thinking 3 or 4.
Oh, 3 or 4. So then you're thinking swap Sekou and Bey.
Sadiq. Yeah, I think I'll have to see what Sadiq's movement compared to Sekou's is like. One of those guys is going to be more athletic than the other, and that's who I want at the 3.
Yeah, and it's right now your future 2 was Luke Kennard. You traded him. But like this is a team that when it comes to the Luke Kennard trade, if I'm a Pistons fan, does it suck? Yes. Did you love Luke Kennard? Yes. You rallied behind him? Yes. But the way I described it to Soapy is if this team if this team builds well enough and becomes a champion contender, I almost compare it to the same way of the Cubs with Gleyber Torres. Right now, did I love Gleyber when he was in the minors? Yes. Did I want Gleyber on this team right now? Yes. But we got a World Series. So Gleyber died for our World Series sins. Luke Kennard could be the same thing if this team developed right. That is far down the road. But this move, we might look back at it as like this one had to be done because paying Luke Kennard, like you said, the $10 million that he would be getting,
10 to 12,
10 to 12, wouldn't be the best thing to do right now for a team that it's like you kind of need to pump the brakes and say, hey, fucking, we're rebuilding. We are like, that's what this is. Hayes, Stewart, Bey, and now Sekou. That is your core. That is your core moving forward. And hopefully they can grow together.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that you already have so much money tied up in Blake and Rosen. Until you can clear them off your books, don't add more to it. You know, Christian Wood would be nice to bring back, but I don't see him being part of the plans. I think he's gone. He knows it, and I think that they know it. So that was the Isaiah Stewart move.
Soapy brings up a good point.
I think we look for a wing in next year, so we move Bey to the 2 and whatever 3 we get next year. I don't know. Like you guys keep saying Sadiq at the 2, and I
think it works.
Like is he Chris Mid all of a sudden?
I like the thing we got to do is also we got to see what Sadiq looks like in the NBA.
To play the 2.
Yeah, we just got to see what he looks like in the NBA. Like
6'8" sounds good, but like imagine Colin Sexton just torching his ass.
And that's the thing I think of. Like Sadiq, we need to see what he'll be because in college I had confidence in him guarding like 3-4-2, like any of those defensively. But like the NBA, kind of like what you look at the NFL side, you're playing bigger, faster, stronger dudes. You're playing grown ass men in the NBA.
I agree.
So like maybe he develops into that, but like I wouldn't disagree with Soapy there. It just depends on also next year. What if you're in position for one of the 2s or one of the 3s? Because it's a very wing heavy draft that it looks like next year.
If they're as bad as I think they're going to be,
Are you saying Chet to Detroit?
Am I saying what?
Chet to not Chet. Fucking Cade to Detroit.
No.
Okay.
No. I think there are some absolute studs in the 2021 NBA draft, and I think honestly, like if I had to pick one, I would go Jalen Green over Brandon Boston right now. And again, that could change. Yeah. Not having the chance to watch them
right play now, the, NBADraftRoom.com has the Pistons as the projected 3rd pick. And they got him going Brandon Brown Jr. out of Kentucky, which would be a 3.
Isn't that Brandon Boston?
I'm sorry, Brandon Boston. I misread it.
Like,
I misread it. Brandon Boston. Yeah, they've got Cade, Brown, and Boston as their 1, 2, 3 off the board.
I like Green more than Boston right now, but you know, to each their own. We'll see. Pistons. I don't think they had the best draft, but I think they set themselves up on the right timeline, and they sent a message to the rest of the league that's like, look, y'all see anything in the window you like? Go ahead and let me know. I'll work out a deal.
Yeah, Blake's gone. Derek's gone. Basically anybody but the 4 I mentioned, where it was Stewart, Sekou, Bay, and Hayes. That's your core moving forward.
They did add Dedmon.
They did.
That's true.
That's right. I forgot about that. They added Dedmon, traded Snell and Kyrie Thomas.
I'll miss Kyrie Thomas. Won't miss the 0-0-0-0-0 splits of Tony Snell.
Former Bull, by the way. Got to throw it out there.
Former Bull. First round pick.
But to answer the question, just a yes or no.
No.
Did the Pistons have the best draft?
No.
We'll get into maybe who Dave's best draft is in winners and losers. But moving on for us, Deni Avdija, Dave, going all the way number 9 to the Wizards. Is this the steal of the draft? Is he going to develop into what I think? For me, it was, if I'm looking at a big board, LaMelo was my number 1. If I was looking at a mock draft, the T-Wolves in my mind should have taken Deni Avdija. That's who I would have taken if I was the T-Wolves and Avdija. But he falls all the way to 9, which I was confused with. Like I was telling you during the draft, Dave, what do these scouts know that we don't know about Avdija? Is it just that we don't think he's going to develop his shooting to the level it needs to be? Did the Wizards get the steal of the draft at number 9, Dave?
Man, it's hard to say they didn't. But at the same time, I look and Tyrese Halliburton went all the way down to 12. Like, I like both these guys. I like them for different reasons. You got to tell me, do we have a topic on Halliburton or the Kangs?
What'd you say?
Do we have a topic on Halliburton and the Kangs?
No, we do not.
Can I talk about it here too?
You can talk about it. We do not have.
Okay.
It's Cavs and Suns are the other 2.
Okay. So, yeah, with Deni's situation, I'm with you. I think that people were not thrilled with his free throw percentage, and they perceived it as a liability that he will never grow to be a better shooter than he is right now. The thing to keep in mind is that 56% from 3 is since he was 16. So, like, you think about where you were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you might have gotten a little better since then. And again, he really had his breakout during the bubble time when we watched the Israeli playoffs. And he showed out. Like, he has been a role player for the majority of his time there, and he got the MVP of the tournament because he was everything out there. He was able to play great defense. His offensive skill set really highlighted his basketball IQ, his facilitating, and his ability to slash at the rim. So I love him as a pick, Ricky. I know you and I were both extremely high on him. I know Sean was extremely high on him before he left us here at MVP. But, like, there's a reason we all love him, and my only concern is the coach who's there with him now. Scotty Brooks does not inspire confidence in me to work with him to help build him to be the next star. Now, that may sound funny to people who look back at Scotty Brooks and the stars he's coached in the past, and be like, well, didn't he coach Russ and KD and James Harden? And like, well, he was a shitty coach. I choose to believe that they all did that on their own. No, I mean, like you have to give some credit, but
Yeah.
He's not one of my favorite coaches. So this is a where you land could affect your career dramatically kind of a situation, because Deni Avdija to me strikes me as kind of like that rookie year Tyreek Evans kind of style player. Like,
Okay.
I think he maxes out, like, if he could put up 25 and 5 and probably two blocks and a steal or something like that, like those he'll probably be closer to, like, 14 6 3 1 1. Like that's my line for Deni Avdija. 14 6 3 1 1. And like I think he's an excellent piece, and I think that he can start off as a plug and play role player. I think long-term growth potential has superstar. Like absolutely has superstar. So am I confused by the fact that, I'm not surprised the Knicks did not take him. The Knicks weren't going to take a foreign-born player. It was very clear to them they were going to take a local kid in Obi Toppin, because big power forward, best power forward.
I would have liked to see what would have happened, though. Like, I feel like if Okoro was on the board for the Knicks, he would have been the pick. But obviously, we never get to see that because the Cavs took him at 5.
The Bulls fucked with everything. Us taking Pat Williams instead of Deni Avdija meant that the Cavs were like, well, we've got Isaac Okoro, who we expected to pick, or Deni, who's on the board we didn't expect.
Yeah.
They stuck with Isaac Okoro. At 6, the Hawks thought about it, clearly, but they went with the BPA on most people's big boards in Onyeka Okongwu, who, again, you don't give a shit about the fit, and clearly they just moved on from Dwayne Dedmon to prove that. So, again, it makes some sense. Pistons needed a point guard, could not afford to pass up on a point guard. I don't care who you are. They took their point guard. The Knicks should have had the same rule. This is the one that they should have taken Halliburton here. 100% Halliburton. If they didn't like Halliburton, they could have gone after Kira. If they didn't like Kira, they could have gone after Cole Anthony. Like, them not taking a point guard.
I mean, I don't hate the Obi Toppin thing just because I like Obi Toppin, but like, you're right.
Did you see the Stephen A. Smith
No,
reaction?
I have not. I did not.
So good. He just swears for like 2 minutes
Does
straight.
he?
It's like, damn. And it's Stephen A. How do you not love that man?
Did we get a Tingus Pingus reaction of who is Toppin Poppin?
No. He gives love and respect to Obi Toppin. He knows he's Showtime. The phrase Showtime got used about 30 times. It's the Knicks, not the Lakers, though. I'm a little disappointed. It's just that's the one that strikes me as the stands out. So like I understand how Deni fell, but at some point, like the Wizards were just like, well, he's our BPA. Like I know we don't need someone at his position, but like how do we pass him up? And I'm glad he got picked there. So steal the draft, TBD. On paper, it looks like either he, Onyeka. There's some guys who fell later who I think we really loved.
Yeah.
Who could be steals of the draft.
There were guys that had like fucking Tyler Bebe and Robert Woodard. I had first round grades on them, Dave, and they fell to the second round. Like when seeing them in the second, I was like, wait, what?
Tyrell Terry
also went to the 31. Mavs.
Don't know how that even is allowed to happen.
Yeah, I don't know either. But like when it comes to Avdija, I do think if I'm a Wizards fan, I'm dancing on the roof today. And that's because Deni Avdija, you got a top 5 prospect at 9. That's what you got. Yeah. Does he have things that he needs to develop? Yes. But all these prospects do. And the thing that you might be thinking is, but Ricky, I would have wanted to have an Onyeka Okongwu or an Isaac Okoro because this team needs defense. Deni's not a bad defender. He's an above average defender, I would say.
He's an above average defender. He's an above average athlete. People just want to put the stereotype, the racial stereotype.
Yeah, well,
European player ain't going there. But that's
the other knock too, and I got this from the Steepy, and I put in my notes was they said has nice awareness and rotations to protect the rim, but his lack of pop and poor measurements could limit his effectiveness here. But overall, they said above average to solid.
Though.
I mean,
that's the thing. The last measurements on record for his wingspan are from when he was 16.
Okay.
And that would be a 6'7" wingspan. Now, if they extrapolated and said, well, his height is now 6'9", and I forget if it's 3/4 or whatever, but like 6'9", we'll just keep it even. Okay, so his height now is 6'9". Are you telling me his arms didn't get longer? Because his height was 6'7" when his wingspan was 6'7".
Does he have the T-Rex arms? Is that what we're saying?
Well, no. My point is,
like, no, if
if
his
it's
arms
16,
didn't get longer, they turned into T-Rex
they
arms?
just stopped growing.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's fucking dumb. At 16, his height was 6'7", his wingspan was 6'7".
Yeah.
Now at 18, his height is 6'9". Do you think his wingspan just stopped? No, they just didn't remeasure.
Yeah, I mean,
dumb.
For me,
it's just dumb.
Like I said, if I'm a Wizards fan, I'm dancing on the roof right now because he adds defense to this team. He's like the Stepien put in there, and I wrote down here, above average to solid defender. Also, he's the type of guy that at his high potential, he's a second/third playmaking option. You're not telling me that you want a third playmaking option behind John Wall and Bradley Beal, and that if John Wall goes down, you want a second playmaking option next to Bradley Beal?
Troy Brown Jr. Because Troy Brown Jr. kind of had that moniker to him, all right? Wasn't he like he was the wing forward?
Basically, it's whoever's better of the two, Troy Brown and Deni, they're in the starting lineup. Troy Brown Jr. could just be their sixth man. Like, you need a good six man on a team.
Well, I think they try to get Bertans back. I don't know if they're going but
good point. Like,
that man's a flamethrower.
This team, the Wizards are going to be an interesting team this year. If John Wall's healthy all year, if Deni balls out this year, like
Rui.
Rui at the full. Like, ideally, your lineup, not day one, but this is more like a development thing because I think Deni, eventually, if he doesn't start at the beginning of the season, eventually he's going to start. Wall, Beal, Deni, Rui, Thomas Bryant. That's your fucking lineup.
And you got Cassius coming off the bench.
Yeah, fucking love the Cassius pick.
For his money.
Love the Cassius pick. Good backup guard, good leader behind fucking John Wall. If John Wall goes down, you got someone at the one that you can at least say
Ish Smith still, but yeah.
Ish Smith, but like even John
what
said
if they just
yesterday.
Run a big lineup and they have Bradley Beal out there with Troy Brown at the 2, Deni at the 3, Rui at the 4. All of the ball handlers, Ricky.
Versatility, and that's another thing Deni Avdija brings.
Yes.
Versa-fucking-tility, Dave.
I'm with you. I love the kid can gush about him for hours, but
I agree with Mill Friends too. RJ was a steal, but
potentially, yeah.
When you get a top 5 guy at number 9, dance on the roof, people.
Yeah, it's the opposite of what Ricky keeps bragging about with his quarterback pick in fantasy.
Yeah, he's not the Matt Ryan. He's not the steal of the draft, Dave.
He's not the 15th best quarterback in a 10-team league.
You're telling me he's not the steal? But moving on, a questioning pick at number 10, I mentioned in our reactions, was this going to be the Cam Johnson pick of last year? Where everyone's like, they took Cam Johnson at like, what was it, 10 last year even? I think it was 9 or 10 last year. No. You took Cam Johnson, and it's like, oh shit, Cam Johnson's really fucking good this year.
They were a teen, I think.
Okay, they were a teen. But basically, they took Cam Johnson really high last year. Yes. Jalen Smith, this is a guy that even looking at my draft fits, I had Falling in mind. But yet again, that was a no trade mock. That I put together. I had him in like the low teens to early 20s area, maybe mid-teens at the highest. He goes top 10. He goes at number 10. Is this going to be a Suns pick that ends up panning out just like Cam Johnson did last year?
100%. I think you and I both, after we got over the initial shock, did not see that coming. We went, well, that's a really great fit.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely a great fit because it gives them a versatile big. He's someone you can play alongside DeAndre Ayton out there. He can also defend the rim quite well, but he spaces the floor. He's got good size, decent athleticism to him. And then if you need, obviously Ayton takes a break. You slide in Cam Johnson there. Boom. You got your 4-5 covered. Mm-hmm. Guess what? If Cam Johnson's out and Ayton's in, boom. There you go. Like, you've got versatility at the 4-5 with Jalen Smith. I think he was the other guy who, I think about a month prior to the draft, went from being a mid-20s pick to a teens pick. Mm-hmm. And then just in this last week, got rushed all the way up to obviously 10. The highest I'd heard for him was 14 to the Celtics prior to this. Yep. It was they loved Onyeka Okongwu. If they couldn't get Onyeka, they were going to go Jalen Smith.
Yeah, I mean, for me too, the thing I was thinking about is, so like I said, I had him falling, but at the same time, who did I have the Suns going with in that draft that I put together? Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams ain't there, Dave. He went to the Bulls. So, like, maybe it was a thing of, I thought Patrick Williams was a good fit for them because they could, I thought Oubre was on his way out, which he eventually did be in the CP3 trade. to where I thought like bringing in it, because I know there were people that wanted Kira Lewis Jr. or Kyra Lewis Jr. Sorry for saying it wrong.
Yeah, seriously,
Lewis.
Man. Should have told us.
But should have told us. Should have told us in Twitch chat. Should have called in. You got my number.
Yep.
But like some people were like, oh, they could take Lewis, change a pace. But like I always thought like take one of the bigs, the fours, to kind of get a rotation going with Malik, Johnson, filling that spot of Oubre, and like Jalen does that. Mikhail. I'm sorry, Mikhail.
Not Malik either.
He's a guy that can floor space, but also at the same time, if Ayton, who, yeah, he's not going to be a lights out shooter from three, but he's got kind of a little bit of a mid range. If he even steps out, you've got a Jalen Smith who can also rim protect as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's a massive upgrade going from Dario Saric to a Jalen Smith here. That's my thought. Is Dario was a good idea, but he doesn't have the athleticism to hustle around teams picking on him all the damn time. Again, he was one of those guys who like nice piece, but like the size and slowness really held him up. He's got a great soft touch. He's got great vision on the court, but he gets picked on defense. He has to be out there against second units. Jalen Smith has the speed, he has the intensity, he has the rim protection, where that's a perfect pairing. I like their 4-5 tandem now, or combo, I should say, of Cam Johnson, Jalen Smith, and Ayton. I think that works out really well for them long term. I love what the Suns did this offseason.
Yeah, and I mean, the one thing I look at Kingy saying like that was a bad pick, and like
screw you, Kingy.
There's a part. No, not screw you.
Where's our boy Ziani? He would come in here. He'd tell you.
I feel like people are gonna clown on this like we did the Cam Johnson one, but yet again,
we only clowned on it because no one thought he would be picked in the top 20.
Exactly. That's why I think people are saying
he wasn't a good basketball player.
Yeah, this is why I think people are saying this is a bad pick though, because they're like, it was a reach. Was it a reach? Probably, but if it pans out, it's not a reach. And like for me, like I said, there were a couple different routes the Suns could have went in my mind. The first one was going with a 4. In my mind, it was always Patrick Williams could be in play here, especially because I always thought the whole thing we talked about, oh, Patrick Williams got a promise from the Pistons. Maybe he got the promise from the Bulls. Maybe that was the one he got the promise from. But I never thought the Pistons were going to take him. I thought Killian Hayes was like either Hayes or Halliburton. I liked Halliburton better. That's why in some mocks I had Hallie going. Plus, I bought really high in on the Tom Weaver wanting a character guy. I should have just went with Killian Hayes like Pistons fans wanted. But I knew they were going to go with a guard there. And then like as he fell, I'm like, okay, he'd be good with the Suns. Devin Vassell was also another one. Another wing who can shoot from the outside and defend. The only thing that Jalen Smith does not do that I like is he needs to work on his defense in space. That's it. He can floor space, rim protect, gives them versatility at their wing position. He's just got to work on his outside shot. And like Kingy, I know a lot of people wanted Lewis Jr. and they wanted him to grow under Rubio.
You can say the word Kyra.
He basically, like, you wanted him to grow under CP3, but just because they went with Jalen Smith, I don't think makes it a bad pick. It's just a differencing of opinion then. Like, Jalen Smith, the only way I'm going to call it a bad pick is if he doesn't pan out. But at this point, it's like, usually there are ones like Anthony Edwards, he's not going to pan out. That's what I like. That's the only pick I feel like out of the first round to where I'm like, oh, in my mind, he's not going to pan out to where they want him to. Like, I was going through starting my grades, Dave, and I'll be honest, most of them, I'm like, shit, I am very favorable. Like, there are not a lot of drafts from teams I hated in this draft. Because, like, I look at it in a lot of teams, Celtics are one that a little lower on, but, like, there's a lot of them that's like, well, they hit some needs, they got some good players, they got some value late. It's like there's a lot of teams in this one that I'm like, they did well.
If you want some haterade, you call me up, Ricky. We know who brings the negativity around here.
Dave's like, I bring the haterade.
You're all like, every movie's great. 4 stars. No,
Mummy was bad. Geostorm was bad. I have some bangers out there that are low ones. Last Jedi was absolute garbage as well. Johnny was the 4 or 5, maybe.
Right, Johnny was even worse somehow.
Don't because I threw out some hate as well.
Eggs, man. I'm telling you, reconsider Smith playing for them part-time. He's not going to start at the 4.
Yeah.
But the idea is that it gives them the option to play with a strong lineup if they're going up against a 4-5 tandem, a la the Lakers. Like, this is a situational thing. I think the same thing goes for when they can go up against the Nuggets out west. There was a third team I had in my head. So Nuggets, Lakers. But it gives them the opportunity to change up the lineup and match up situationally, because I think that bigs are not dead, but bigs are now situational, like necessities almost. You have to have one who you can pull out.
Think of it like the Lakers with Davis and McGee, Davis and Howard, where it's like Davis was the guy offensively, can stretch it out, shoot the 3. Jalen Smith offensively will be that, can shoot from the outside, can space the floor. But Davis and Howard, especially in the playoffs, could both rim protect well. And that's what Ayton and fucking Smith can do in those lineups you're talking about.
And it's especially great when you have guards who necessarily, maybe your defensive system might be to funnel guys to the net.
Yep.
Like, that's what it was funny. We talked about the Timberwolves being the case for this. The Timberwolves gave up so many points because their defensive system was to funnel guys to the rim.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a great rim protector. Now, what the Suns here have done is double down, because Ayton has grown a lot as a rim protector, and I think he's underrated. I think he's very good. Good talk. Good talk. Damn, that got me.
I knew it was. I was like, shit, that's going to throw... That's the thing with Dave. Dave's not allowed to read chat when he's talking.
The point is, with the Suns, having 2 guys who can rim protect as well as Jalen Smith and DeAndre Ayton is amazing, because if you have a guard out there like Devin Booker, who defensively turnstile, I know he's gotten better. I don't want to hear it, Suns fans. He still is not elite on the defensive end. He is passable. If you can work your system, because you have excellent perimeter defenders in CP3, McHale, Cam Johnson, you've got great guys out there. But if you can funnel guys who are drivers into Jalen Smith or DeAndre Ayton, good fucking luck. Like, you guys are going to have an incredibly low percentage at the rim because you have 2 excellent defenders. I think this is a genius move on their end. It's drafting for what you need your future to be. They're thinking ahead about, hey, top teams in the West right now are who? How are we going to compete with them? What's it going to look like when we go up in the playoffs? Do we have answers for any of these guys? And I think they're starting to build the right way now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like the pick. Like, was it one I was shocked with? Yeah, but like that doesn't mean it was a bad pick. After thinking about it, I'm like, okay, to me it makes sense. The last draft team we're going to take a focus on, Dave, before winners and losers, are the Cavs. This was a pick I thought was Obi Toppin. I thought it was straight Obi Toppin. That's the guy that the rumors said they liked. That's the one they were going to pick. I did hear that Okoro did have a good interview, but I always thought Toppin was the guy here. But Okoro's the guy. And I'm going to say this, Dave. I don't think the Cavs made a mistake by drafting Isaac Okoro. Like I said last night during the reaction, mainly because of this, where if you look at, and I know that the NBA draft, we always talk about, like, it's not like the NFL draft, where the NFL draft is more like, I need a center, I'm going to go with a center here. I need this position, I'm going to go with that here. Right. But you look at what this team needed. You're stuck with Garland. You're stuck with Sexton. And like Eric said, he beat me to the punch. They're terrible defensively. Sure. They needed perimeter defense. And Isaac Okoro, they also needed someone who could shoot. Now, does Isaac Okoro shoot right now? No. But are they hoping that defensively he helps them right now in the perimeter and eventually can work on his offensive game to where he's not just a one-trick pony driving to the basket, that he can develop a shot and be a more rounded offensive player? They took a stab at 5. Defensively, it pays out. We're going to see if Okoro can actually round his offensive game and work on the shooting part.
You are 100% right in everything you said, except I still think it was a bad pick.
Okay.
Because I still don't like Isaac Okoro, and I have him graded much lower than the 5th overall pick. Mm-hmm. My big board, he is closer to the 10 to 15 range.
Okay.
More precisely, the 13 to 18 range. Mm-hmm. I just don't love the idea. And again, work ethic can't be challenged. Yeah. I mean, he is... Every interview I've seen of him is just the guy is so likable. He's going to bust his ass.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to work on it. But sometimes the shot's just not there. And again, I don't want this to be a Jalen Brown situation, as you and I so lovingly recalled our thoughts on a raw prospect in Jalen Brown.
Doesn't have Brad Stevens, though. Beeline does not know Brad Stevens.
Beeline doesn't know how to run an offense, apparently, and neither do his players.
He doesn't know what his players are. He calls them thugs.
God damn. Is he still their head coach? Didn't he get fired?
No, I don't think he got fired. Here,
I feel like he should have got fired for that.
I don't think he got fired. He's still the head coach of the Cavs.
He got fired. Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, he did. No, it's Bickerstaff. Never mind. I'm wrong. Yeah. I'm living in the past. Never mind. It's Bickerstaff. Ignore everything I said because I thought Beeline was still their coach. That is how much I don't care about Cleveland that I forgot Beeline got fired. I'm sorry, Cleveland. Bickerstaff is their head coach. Bickerstaff. I broke Dave. I completely broke Dave.
Yep. I got nothing left. I mean, like, look, even with JB Bickerstaff there, great guy, love the character. I don't love this pick. And again, I brought up Jalen Brown because again, he was a raw prospect who had incredible athleticism in college, and this seems like Groundhog's Day. Tell me if this sounds too familiar. Great athlete. Incredible jumping skills, very strong, good defender, needs to work on his shot, inconsistent, but can slash and find passes on the move. Like, there are a lot of similarities here. So if you're a Cleveland fan, you should be very positive about this because you could get someone who could develop into a top tier wing of the future. Now, whether he does or doesn't, that's the question. So you can't say it was a bad pick because he has the potential, because he already has shown defensively he is one of the best stoppers on the perimeter one-on-one. Now, his team defense is lacking in my mind. I like Devin Vassell over him as far as a team defender on the wing. I think that there are other guys who can do better. But as a defensive specialist with upside, with potential, with the right mindset, he ticks all the right boxes. I hope he doesn't turn into Stanley Johnson. I hope he's not an Andre Robertson. I think that he could be so much more. It's just the way I have it graded out. I can't say that he was the right pick at 5.
So I'm glad you brought up Stanley Johnson because number one, I agree with Eric in the sense of the second half of what he said. He said Okongwu could have been a choice after Drummond walks. I agree that Drummond is walking because I think at the trade deadline, Drummond actually gets traded because I think the Cavs right now, when it comes to Drummond, want to sign him long term. Drummond don't want no noise of that. I don't think Drummond, like, to go back to Joakim Noah, sorry Cavs fans, but who wants to be in Cleveland? Like, yet again, Drummond I don't think signs a long-year deal. I think they trade him at the trade deadline. Okongwu, though, would have been, like, he would have been good defense for the interior, but then it's like, okay, that doesn't help your perimeter defense.
But and when it helps if your perimeter guys just guide guys into the Okongwu, death swatting zone.
Yeah, but is that their defense? Like you said, is that their defensive system? Or
they could scheme that way. JB Bickerstaff, smart defensive coach.
Okay, I mean, good point.
If there's a guy who can teach them how to play defense and scheme it, I do trust JB Bickerstaff on that end.
Yeah, I figure the center position to me is one of those to where, if I was going to take a big in this draft for the Cavs, it was Obi Toppin because Kevin Love is another one that could be on the
into
move.
The no defense. Is that your plan? Well, like you go the double the offense, none of the defense.
It's not really because my point with the Cavs is they're not going to be a good team this year. The Cavs are like the Pistons in my mind of like they are not going to be a good team. They're probably going to be a top 5 pick again next year. So it's basically
just stop right there and say if you're going to be a top 5 pick next year. What does next year have? An abundance of
wings,
elite wings. Why would you take a wing here who has questions?
Cavs already fucked themselves the last 2 drafts.
Center, or the best center on most people's boards.
Good point. You've got a point, but like for me, it depends. Like I think the reason why they didn't go Okongwu is I think front office wise they are zeroed in on keeping Drummond on this team. And if they're gonna keep Drummond on the team, if that's the plan for them, don't think it happens because the player needs to want to stay for that to happen. I think that if I am replacing my Kevin Love replacement would have been Obi Toppin, not a Onyeka Okongwu.
Okay, when you put that
that's
way, yes.
It. Yeah,
yep.
Like if I'm keeping Drummond, I want to pair him with Obi, not with Onyeka.
Why not take Avdija?
Could have taken Avdija too. Avdija would have worked. Like that would have probably been BPA at that spot.
Let me just put it this way:
playmaker.
He passes the ball.
He does.
Shocking.
Team needs
Cleveland.
Good
Maybe
point.
pass the
Good
goddamn
point.
ball.
You know, it was a mistake because you didn't take Deni Avdija, but after you take Avdija out, it wasn't a mistake. That's it.
I think I have Avdija over him.
You're right.
I've got Onyeka over him. I've got a lot of guys over him, but I think, again, like I said, he has the potential to grade out to be one of the best wings, two-way wings in this class. And that is incredibly valuable.
Well, and this is why the Stanley Johnson part you brought up. Could he be Stanley Johnson? Yeah, if he never develops offensively, yeah. But you talk about his work ethic and everything I've seen, and there was a SB Nation. So the SB Nation Sun site posted like they do a great. I just want to give them props because out of all the fucking sites I've seen that are like, how does this prospect fit? Whoever's doing, I don't remember his name, whoever's doing that work does his fucking work scouting. Great. Strengths, weaknesses, the fit. I was like, fuck, like I'm getting an insider thing without even fucking talking to somebody. And they shared a tweet from Auburn, like hyping up Isaac Okoro. And they're like, doesn't this make you want him on your team? And I was like, fuck, Bulls take him at 4. And then I was like, no, Bulls don't take him at 4. I'm being persuaded here because the video did that great of a job, Dave. And I feel like with his work ethic, that's why people on the very high end want to compare him to like a Jimmy Butler. Where does he get Jimmy to that Butler level?
Coming into the league.
Exactly. True. But like the work ethic side of like, I'm going to do whatever I can to get better each and every day. And that's what I think why I think the Cavs got a good player, but like when you bring up the Deni side.
The locker room too.
Yeah.
Like you talk about
you're trying to build a culture.
That sucked for 2 years now. You don't want to stick around in that. That does not lead to happiness. So like having someone who has that drive, has that positivity, he's a great locker room presence already because he will keep guys like it's that challenge. Now, will they respond to the challenge? Will the young kids like Garland, young kids, the guys who are older than him, but I'm calling young kids, will the guys like Garland and Sexton and Chetty and KPJ if he's not in jail somewhere?
Yeah.
Will they all respond and match his like love for basketball and effort? Like that's the question.
He could grow into one of the true leaders of the Cavs team.
I agree. That's where I'm going with this one. Thank you.
Yeah. Kind of putting the kibosh on the draft talk, Dave. General winners and losers. And I'll ask you, do you want to start with losers or winners?
My loser's easy. My winner, I don't even know.
All right. I have a couple winners. I want to start off with a loser, but you need to promise me something, Dave. You're gonna let me completely finish my thought before you jump on me. So this is one that I was talking to Soapy about this. I want to call them a loser, but then there's a side of me I don't want to call them the loser, and that's a Los Angeles Lakers. The reason why I want to call them a loser is because I felt like they were a team based on their contract situations and where they're going to be cap-wise. They needed to buy a couple second-round picks, maybe 2 second-round picks. And after seeing what talent had fallen out of the first round, I was kind of upset that the Lakers didn't do that. However, there's a side of me that's like, I don't want to call them a loser because of, like I've said before, in order to buy a pick needs to be for sale. Were no second-round picks for sale? Was it basically the trades just weren't right and we couldn't get a deal done? So like in that sense, I don't want to officially call them a loser, but I do want to bring up that the Lakers stayed pat and did not buy any second round picks and were fine with going through the whole draft, not adding anybody.
I believe a second round pick was purchased this year.
Okay.
I think it was for like $5.4 million.
And then they traded it?
Oh, it was traded for $5.4 million. It was a cash considerations deal. Just to give you an idea, when the Bulls did theirs a couple years ago for Jordan Bell, that was only $3 million. Okay. So $2 million increase on a second round pick is kind of wild in a couple years.
Yeah, and like Eric said, the trade prices were high.
Trade prices did seem high. And again, this Lakers team, as much as I understand the need to improve, I feel like they are dependent on the ring chasing community. They are there for
the MLEs.
They are there for the MLEs, the exceptions, the everything that's built into the contract situation. So people can come play for them and compete for a championship because that is their, hey, I've earned a couple million already. I'm going to go get a ring. You can't pay for a ring. Ask Charles about that. Ask him how he feels. Like that will tell you everything you need to know about rings and basketball. Like,
hey, who knows? Maybe they, like we said, maybe they add a Carmelo Anthony who wants to ring chase, wants to go play with LeBron.
There's a lot of talent out there who's going to ring chase this year.
I mean,
I'll tell you what.
It's an easy, and that's why it's like I kind of wanted to say like for like I think of like a Tyler Bay was one that was like a first rounder that fell, or like a Trey Jones I think could have helped in their point guard depth.
Yep.
For me it's like where the price is too high, and for you I think when you say the losers are easy, I think I know who your first loser is.
I already said it. It's the Celtics.
Okay, because KOC's living in the head rent-free, Dave.
Rent-free, baby. Rent-free, right? Just KOC across my forehead.
Are we going to start doing that from now on? Are we just going to Sharpie KOC on your head?
You could just edit it in there because it's living in my head rent-free. The Celtics shit the bed. Can we just, let's be honest here. The Celtics have shit the bed. If you look at what they did in this draft, it's an embarrassment. It's an absolute embarrassment. Aaron Nesmith at 14. I cannot argue with, but I do not think he was the BPA.
Okay.
I love the idea of adding shooting. I think their bench unit needed shooting. But you know what their bench unit actually needed? A fucking point guard. They need someone who's better than Brad Wanamaker. Where do you get someone better than Brad Wanamaker? Not in Peyton fucking Pritchard. What world is Peyton Pritchard a first-round pick? We're talking about a 4-year player in college. He's won in high school. He's won in college. He's a solid player. He's an effort player. He's a decent shooter, but he doesn't have nearly the skill set, the upside, the athleticism, the talent to be what you need to compete for a championship in the East right now. He is absolutely – that pick made me laugh so hard. I was like, what the fuck is this team doing? In what world is Peyton Pritchard a first rounder, Ricky? What world?
I didn't see it.
Trading back out of the 30th position for 2 future seconds. Why? Fucking why? Like, other than the reason of you don't have roster slots because you couldn't figure out how to package together picks. People like packages. If you give them multiple picks, you can go higher. That's how this works. I don't have to explain this to them, but like it does seem like I feel like I have to at times because no one understands why they didn't move up in this draft. It was talked about as like it will be the easiest draft to move up in. Nobody wants to be on this. Nobody wants to be at the top of the draft. The prices have never been lower for top picks because everyone feels like this is a flat draft. Yeah. And they don't. They have no roster slots available, and they have no talent on that team on the bench. Like it just, I am at a loss here. I don't know what their plan fucking is, Ricky.
They are a draft that I did not like overall, but it's also like usually in years past it'd be like, I think this is a loser. They get an F. But like for me, it's like I think a C-.
Is my favorite pick.
Like the Aaron Nesmith pick, I don't think is bad because if you do look at the needs, this team did need to add shooting to it. And like Peyton Pritchard, if you look at it, yes, he adds that, but the whole thing of Peyton Pritchard is the value of player you're getting at the pick you took him. That's why to me it was a bad pick. Of Peyton Pritchard's a good player, but he's not 26th best player in the draft good. Even like, I mean, I know Aaron Nesmith, yet again, I'm going to say it again. I don't hate the pick, although maybe like a Sadiq Bey would have been nice. He can shoot, but also play defense. But I know that Nesmith he's basically the flamethrower of the wings, where it's like, if he catches fire, good luck out shooting him.
Incredibly hot. Yep.
To me, it's like 24, even looking after like who was on the board, Desmond Bane, who they took at 30 and traded, that is who people were mocking to the fucking Celtics. Like, he would have been good for them. I know the roster spots, you need roster spots for them. Maybe it's like what we said completely beforehand of, oh, Celtics are going to trade. Yeah, right. No, they're not. And then guess what? They didn't.
One name. Tyrell Terry.
131. Passed him twice. 3 times, technically.
They passed him 3 times. The Mavs are going to embarrass them. Tyrell Terry is going to be very good at basketball. And the fact that this team, okay.
And they didn't even get a center.
That's what the other thing. You look at the center position and you go, Okoro and Xavier Tillman, we're both on the board still.
Yep.
I don't.
Vernon Carey, too.
Like,
I'm saying he's out there. Defense. Like Okoro, Tillman, Carey, they were all there. Take your pick. Take your freaking pick. Even if you want to say it, I know Azubuike, or as Pat says now, they're calling him Jazzubuike because he's a Utah Jazz.
I like that.
He was there at 26. You could have taken him if you wanted to. Zeke Nnaji was there at 24 or 26, wasn't he?
He went 22.
No, he went 22. Never mind.
And I would not have taken him at their first pick. So
I mean, it's just like, I feel like the Celtics, is it a bad draft? Is it a bad draft for them? Yes. It did not access their needs. They basically had to sell one for 2 future seconds.
Talked about RJ Hampton for months.
Yep.
For months being their pick at 14.
Nuggets had, like, going into winners. I'll fucking say my first one, the fucking Denver Nuggets. Like, they're a team that the Nnaji is a little bit of a reach. I will say that. But if he hits, like, going back, watching his film today and going, like, to the strengths and weaknesses, because Zeke Nnaji was one that I kind of pushed to the side because I'm like, oh, he's a second-round talent in my mind. But, like, looking what he can do in the pick and roll, and if he works on a shot a little bit, can fit in there next to Jokic. And then fucking you get RJ Hampton to fucking mix in with Murray and Harris. Like, can you imagine RJ Hampton with Porter Jr. mixing in with Harris and Murray?
How close do I have to get to my mic to say his name?
Go ahead.
Bol.
Bol also. I keep forgetting about Bol. Or I'm not putting the respect on the man we saw in person and we're like, is that Bol? Fuck yeah, that's Bol.
Like, we asked the question, I love my brain was malfunctioning because I was staying next to a 7'3" just machine who shoots from three.
Simpler times prior to COVID.
Really was.
Prior to COVID was simpler times. But yeah, I like the Nuggets draft. You know who else's draft I really liked? Sixers had a good one. Like
the Sixers, give them Sixers wet boy for the day for Daryl Morey. The man flipped shit. He literally he flipped a pan of shit, and it turned into good shit for him. He's like,
fucking.
I'll move an Al Horford, and I'll just get back people who can shoot threes. Is that okay? Is that what we need, guys? I hear spacing's kind of important in the NBA, and 3-pointers are pretty good from the analytics side. Like, is everybody else dumb?
Let's see if I can find it. There's a picture
that one was a win-win trade, by the way. That was a win-win trade. OKC did a magnificent job on draft day, and I want to give them all the credit in the world. I'm not talking down on them. It just felt like the 76ers needed such a big win because they need to flip their roster over from the locked-in, like, Elton Brand clusterfuck of, like, we can't figure out how to win with two of the top 20 players in the NBA. And it seems like in a matter of hours, Morey has figured out that guy's gone. That guy's gone. We're going to load up on wings. We're going to add shooting, and we'll be just fine. We'll be just fine, guys.
Jake liked this. Our boy Jake. Tweet of the night for my sense of basically Morey undoing Brand's past 16 months, and it's like, it's perfect. Like, Daryl Morey, what he was able to do, the trades they were able to make, they got rid of Horford, like you said, bringing in Maxey, Joe, and Reed, which even John was saying, like, it was no fucking secret that Philly fans wanted Isaiah Joe. They get him at 49. Yep. Maxey's going to be great for that team. But how about
also Josh Richardson?
Also Richardson as well. How about the fucking Memphis Grizzlies, though?
Oh, get this, though. Get this.
They don't have their first. Nesmith goes to the Celtics with their pick. They still get from the Celtics Desmond Bane, or I'm sorry, he is now anointed as Jesmond Jane.
Yep.
And then at the 35th pick, Javier Gilman. It's Javier because of the J, like, unless you want to say Javier, but it's Javier is how you say it. Javier Gilman. Like, Xavier Tillman, Jesmond Jane. They are, like, those two picks alone to a team that was already fucking good. Like, what? Didn't expect Memphis to do that.
We had someone else.
No, those are the two picks that on the CBS site. Those are the two picks that they had. for them.
It's gonna kill me.
Unless it was an undrafted guy they signed. Because I didn't come in with undrafted. Also, I love Dallas and what they brought in. Josh Green helps them at 18. Tyrell Terry at 31. Tyler Bay at 36. They got first-round talent across the board, Dave. First in my mind. Like, how did Dallas get Tyrell Terry, Tyler Bay in the second round? How did that happen?
It's ridiculous.
Did you find the name you're looking for?
I'm looking for it. It's killing me.
Soapy, Jasmine Jane, and Javier Gilman is way too fucking good. Like,
they had 3 guys come into the team. Grizzlies, NBA draft. My brain's blanking.
Also, the Thunder, gotta throw love to them. Poku at 17. I called it. I had Theo going to the Thunder, Dave.
Oh, Killian Tilly.
Okay.
I got Killian Tilly.
That was an undrafted signing.
But a huge signing.
Yeah, I know. I was just my list only has the ones who were drafted.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
and again,
I'm sorry.
All 3 of those guys played with members of their team.
Jillian.
Jilly.
But like the Thunder
again,
too.
All 3 of those players that they brought into the team were teammates of players who are on their team.
Yep.
Genius level fucking teamwork right there.
Soapy reading my mind though too. I like Golden State's draft too. It's hard to ruin the second pick, but getting Nico Mannion in the second, getting my boy, I got to get myself a Mannion Warriors jersey, Dave, because he is going to be the backup point guard behind Steph Curry. Like, also, I feel like Justine, or I'm gonna screw the name up, Justinine Jessup.
Yeah,
that's a Grizzlies player, not a Warriors player.
He's playing in Australia next year.
Well, the Grizzlies got to trade for him. He's built for the Grizzlies, Dave. JJ is his initials.
Double J.
We don't even have to change
Double J and
it.
Triple J together?
Yeah, we don't even need to change his name. He already has JJ.
That would be like 5J. What's that? Like,
no. Cinco? A Sinket, right? Is that what
all the J's, baby? That's what the J's are about.
I mean, to me, the hard thing was finding losers. And I think the only losers, the Celtics, I think, had a bad draft. The T-Wolves, I'm in the middle on because, like I was telling Soapy, I like Balmero and McDaniels for their potential on defense. This team needed to add it. I think they fucked up the first pick, though. I think they taking the bust of the draft at number 1 fucked everything.
They added in Ricky Rubio. They added in, like you said, McDaniels. They added in the third player. Like, they went out there and got it. I gotta respect that. I think they did a decent job. The Thunder was ridiculous. Who was the other team I was looking at just now? What do you think of the Rockets draft night?
I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel about it, only because, unless there's an undrafted that I have not had down, the only drafted player they got is Kenyon Martin Jr., son of Kenyon Martin. Did Kenyon Martin Sr. play for the Rockets too?
Kmart? Yeah, I think so.
Okay. To me, I don't know.
They flipped, they're like...
Yeah.
I kind of expected maybe a Russell, maybe a PJ Tucker, maybe James Harden to be moved on draft night, and it didn't happen. So Eric Gordon's still on the team. I'm kind of I was like, I expect them to move pieces on this night if they were going to.
See,
now I wonder if they're going to move any of these.
They're
guys.
not. I'm buying into the comments we heard before draft night where Woj said they're telling teams that they're going to run it back. Like the Nets too, in the fucking Kennard deal, I feel like Shamet is only on the Nets until the Rockets are basically like, okay, we'll trade James Harden. I feel the Nets only added Shamet to make that package better for the Rockets.
Probably true.
But other than that, there were not a lot of teams that I was like, no, fuck their draft. I hate it. Like the Hawks. I like Onyeka Okongwu for them. The Kings also got 3 fucking guys that are first round talents in my mind, or Ramsey a tweener, first, second, but Halliburton, Woodard at 40, 10 picks later than what I originally thought, and then fucking Ramsey at 43.
Hallie is the biggest faller. Like I don't.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Deni, but I mentioned Halliburton is just like, again, I don't see why teams wouldn't love him other than the fact that his top end is like, he's never going to be a guy who's going to give you, 26 a night. He's not that guy, but he's just a clean player and he's got great attitude. So, and he's incredibly efficient and he plays good defense and he's a great team player. Like everything good, but nah. Magic, Cole Anthony. Is this the end of Markelle Fultz?
I told you, like when I was going through my best fits, I had Cole Anthony there and I was like, watch out, Cole Anthony might be the pick there. And then it was like, okay, what about this point guard? But yeah, I love that pick too. Like there were not a lot of picks with teams that I was like, God, I fucking hate this.
Yeah, the Heat taking the notably short Precious Achiuwa was interesting. I think he's a good fit long-term for them. If there's one team that can work his ass off into finding a position and learn to shoot the ball, that is the right team. The Mavs nailed it. Tyrell Terry steal the draft along with Josh Green. Quiet wing, great two-way player.
So then Deni Avdija is not the steal of the draft. It's Tyrell Terry.
Tyrell Terry has top 10 talent. So like,
okay,
spots. Deni calls spots.
Yeah.
Tyrell Terry fell an entire first round.
I love how this is because of like most people. Tyrell Terry, top 20 player. Dave, no, fuck that. He's top 10.
Top 10 player.
Dave is gonna die on the Tyrell Terry sword.
Absolutely will. If there's any team you can succeed on, it's the Mavs.
Any final thoughts on anything with the draft before we move on?
The Knicks taking Emmanuel quickly.
Okay.
That one was caught me off guard. I knew he looked well upon. I thought he was early second round grade. He can shoot, he can pass, he can do everything pretty well. I think it was kind of surprising because Knicks fans were like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And I'm like, "I think he was the player of the year."
Who the fuck is Tingus Pingus?
He was a pretty good player and pretty well notarized.
Yeah.
I don't know. That one's kind of a question to me because I look at that Knicks team and I wonder what. Okay, I get it. I get it. Obi Toppin, because again today they went out today. I saw this news literally as we're live.
Yeah.
That they moved on from Taj Gibson. They declined Bobby Portis and somebody else in that group. They let somebody else go as well. So like they cleared out their four. So it's literally just Julius Randle, who's a 4/small ball 5.
Yeah.
And then Obi Toppin. So they got Big Mitch at the 5. Obviously Randle, Toppin. That's their big 3 at this point. RJ obviously out there. I had thought they would have to go for like a top tier point guard with that first pick. The fact they went Toppin, is Frank getting the run?
Maybe.
Is this Frank and Tom Thibodeau, the defensive wizard, gonna figure some shit out and they're gonna run it out there? Because I don't know. They let Alfred Payton, Mr. Floofy Hair. He used to be. He
I like how that's Alfred Payton.
This used to be Alfred Payton.
Yeah,
that was there.
I remember.
He couldn't see on layups. He literally lose track of where the fucking hoop was on layups. It's embarrassing. They let him go.
Okay.
So like it's immense trust in Emmanuel Quickly and Frank.
Quickly is good though. Like even Pat was mad because people in our Discord was like, "Who's this?" He's like, "He's the SEC Player of the Year. Watch some college hoops, bro."
Or it means Fred VanVleet about to get a bag.
Oh, he could get a bag. Like the Knicks could fucking spend
$22 million.
Moving away from the draft though, Dave. Before we get into go ahead.
There was a rumor that Hayward to New York was an option because Hayward just declining his option.
We'll touch Hayward. Hayward's a topic.
Okay. Well, that was one of the rumors.
Okay.
Was New York was going to bag him.
Well, we'll touch him then. Before we get into that, though, we do have a wet boy today, Dave. Maction. I didn't watch it because obviously we're doing the draft, but
you're giving a wet boys for shit you didn't watch. That's embarrassing.
Dude, he had a fucking game. I'm sorry. When fucking you're a running back and you have 4 touchdowns and 300 yards, I don't care if I watched it. I got to give you a fucking wet boy. Like, there were 2. There was the running back from Akron. Their team lost 68-35. He had 3 touchdowns on the ground. And then fucking Patteron, who basically 4 touchdowns. Like 300 yards, the fucking Buffalo Bulls won again. This is the fucking second wet boy for the Buffalo Bulls.
Yeah, they're starting to steamroll shit in the MAC.
Dude, no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bulls, Dave. No one does it like the Bulls. Not even the Bills. The Bills can't do it like the Bulls. But yeah, Jarrett getting the wet boy for today. And Dave, the first thing, we have double news for the Warriors. First, Klay Thompson's injury is an Achilles injury. He's out for the year. For sure.
Done.
And we got actually confirmation on the Oubre trade of what the Warriors are sending. So Golden State finalized a trade to acquire Thunder forward Kelly Oubre Jr. for a 2021 protected first-round pick. Woj has the source of, the Warriors will convey that first-round pick next season should they finish between 21 and 30. So it is a top 20 protected pick. If they're in the top 20 next year, it stays with the Warriors. If they stay in the top 20, Dave, the Thunder will get 2 second-round picks instead. I'm going to say, smart fucking move by the Warriors. They're bringing in Oubre probably to try to offset the Klay Thompson injury. The fact that the Thunder are like, we don't, like, even if you're in the top 20, we don't care. Yeah. We don't care if you're in the top 20. Like, because the Klay injury could mean to where it's going to affect their season. But Dave, the question I want to ask is, will the Kelly Oubre trade offset the Klay Thompson injury? This ain't a for sure 1-for-1, but like,
it's not even close to a 1-for-1.
Are the Warriors like basically what I was thinking of, like, well, the Lakers are now the for sure favorite to win the West again?
Also in news, that Kennard trade that we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
The Clippers are receiving 4 second-round picks.
Shit.
3 from Detroit and 1 from Portland.
Okay.
So Clippers getting a little bit of late capital to help them maybe down the road.
Maybe.
Kelly Oubre, Klay Thompson, not the same player.
No.
Impact on the court, not the same. If I'm gonna say it, if Steph stays healthy, fingers crossed, and this is not a tanking season part deux.
Let's talk perfect scenario. So let's say Steph is healthy.
They're healthy. Steph's healthy. You have Wiggins, you have Oubre, you have Wiseman, and you have Draymond Green out there.
Did you mention Wiggins?
Yeah, okay. Wiggins, Oubre, Draymond Green.
Okay.
That's a decent starting 4. That's 5.
That's 5. Me.
That's 5.
So what you would have Wiggins at the 2, Oubre at the 3?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. 100%. Steph, Wiggins, Oubre, Draymond, and the big man, James Wiseman. I love the idea of it, but it's not going to pan out. Like, this team went from top 3 team in the West to 8 through 6. I will say 6 at the high, 8 at the low, and that's only because James Wiseman should just be fucking great. He should hit the floor running. Him and Steph Curry should be able to make magic happen out there. And that's what I'm thinking. In my head, I'm going, the Suns added CP3. CP3 plus Ayton versus Steph plus Wiseman. It's about even, right? In my mind, it's about even. Because obviously, Steph is much better than CP3, but Ayton is much better than Wiseman. So and somewhere in there, it evens out. But then you look at the pieces in between, and you go, I would much rather have Devin Booker, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges than Wiggins, Oubre, and a certain ball kicker that I hate in Drummond, or not Drummond. Wow, Draymond. Draymond.
I got you.
I just don't think the defensive loss of not having Klay there is going to be big, and the spacing is the big thing because Wiggins likes the mid range. Oubre likes the mid range. This is not the Warriors we know of, but could this turn into the best coaching job we've ever seen out of Steve Kerr? Could he find a way to take the discarded pieces of 2 different stars, and make them great?
I'm going to say this. I think that the Kelly Oubre trade does not make, because by offset, it's like, does Oubre coming in still keep the Warriors because the Warriors with Klay, when they got both Splash Brothers, like fucking Stephen A said, you gotta have both. You can't have just one. You gotta have both. Basically, I think, no, Oubre coming in does not make the Warriors with Klay, where it was basically, well, the top of the West is Lakers, Warriors, and then everyone else. Like, Lakers, Warriors were tier 1, then everyone else.
Nuggets, and everybody else.
But now with Oubre, no Klay, the Warriors might be tier 2, but they're not tier 1 anymore. To me,
3.
Like, even if they're tier 3, like, I'm not arguing where they are tier-wise, they're just not tier 1. The Lakers are now the clear favorite in the West.
I agree.
The interesting thing that I'm thinking of, and this is kudos to Bob Myers and the front office for the Warriors with the protection on the pick for Kelly Oubre, because top 20 means they can still make the playoffs and keep their pick. And I think that the Warriors with Oubre, they can still make the playoffs, even if they fall off and they're more like 6, 7, 8. What we thought this year before Steph went out, they can still keep their pick. All they have to do is basically around the 20th pick. So the Heat were the 20th pick. The Heat were 44-29 this year. That was around a 60 win percentage. So win 60% of your games, you're around the 20th pick. But you look at teams,
it's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, and you look at teams that were inside that: Dallas, Brooklyn, fucking the Blazers. Like, these were playoff teams. So for me, that is the most important part.
And
it's
remember the new playoff tourney.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the new playoff tourney. Yeah, that's right. The little play-in
if they
tournament.
do finish poorly, and they do finish 7th by some odds or 8th, they would have play-in games to determine that final seeding.
So, can I ask a dumb question? Like a really dumb question? If you're the Warriors and you finish for the playoff, like in the play-in tourney, and it's a matter of if we win the tourney, we're outside the top 20. If we lose, we're inside the top 20. At that point, do you say, let's just lose the play-in tourney game to keep our pick? Like,
no, if we're healthy, we're going.
Okay.
Anything can happen in the playoffs, baby. Anybody
point.
gets hot.
Good point. Like I said, dumb question.
He got to the finals, baby.
Mm-hmm. We're
2 injuries away from competing in the finals.
Mm-hmm. Do you think this is a faux pas on the Thunder? I know why the Warriors want the protection on the 2020 because the 2020 or the 2021, because the 2021 draft is supposed to be very good.
Remember, Warriors playing with house money. They have the T-Wolves pick.
They do, but if they can keep their pick too, that's huge.
That would be huge, but same time, I would rather have a playoff run. Yeah. If you're in that position and you're healthy, playoff run. Come on. Come on, give me that series. Let me see what these kids are actually made of.
And the T-Wolves with the bust of the draft, maybe not winning too many games.
T-Wolves with the bust draft and a lack of defense and a lot of upside picks, but maybe not the most effective players today.
Yeah.
There's a chance that could be a top 10 pick. There's a chance. Question in chat.
Yeah, that's a Christian Wood signing to the Mavs. We'll focus on free agency after it happens.
Shut up about Christian Wood. Can't do want it, Soaps.
Shut up about Edwards. I just feel like the Klay Thompson injury obviously sucks for the Warriors. It's the worst thing to fucking see. Because, this is a Warriors team that's supposed to be comeback unloaded. Also, what does this mean for, does this change the Wiggins timeline where we thought of, Wiggins, they're going to see how he does with Klay and Steph, and then we'll see if they move him or keep him. Will this be another situation of after this year? Could we be in we're not going to trade Wiggins because we didn't get to see everyone together because Klay wasn't there?
I think Oubre and Wiggins are in the same position. I think both of these guys are going to be on the block come the deadline if neither one of them is looking great. I think that with Steph out there...
Oubre's only got this year, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, where Wiggins has 2 more years after this.
Correct. I think both of them will be on the block by the deadline if they're not performing well. Having Steph out there is enough. You don't need Steph and Klay to find out what your offense looks like. You just need Steph. So with Steph out there, if Wiggins performs, great. We got a guy going forward we're happy with. He's still in his prime as Steph continues to get older. Now, if Oubre performs, great. We got a guy who can help us out, and we'll see what the re-signing would look like because we can go over the cap again to keep him here as an RFA. So it's win-win, really, if everything goes well. If everything goes bad, they can cut ties at midseason and not feel bad about it because what are we supposed to do? We got no Klay. The expectation wasn't that we would be a champion this year.
Yeah.
We got no Klay. It's win-win. Again, house money. But again, this sets the timetable back. You have to look and be like, Steph's getting old. Steph is getting old, and Steph's ankles aren't going to get healthier. Klay, basically went from one leg injury to another injury now on the other because he's overcompensating perhaps too much. And you just have to wonder how much is that going to take a toll out of his game. I know he's not a sprinter on the court like JJ Redick type guy with his athleticism, but he's still someone who needs the ability to be pretty athletic on the move. He doesn't need to bounce the ball because that's not what he does. But as long as his jumper looks good, he might take a knock on his defensive end, but the shots should still be pure.
Yeah, and I mean, the Warriors, it's going to be interesting to see what happens this year. No Klay, Oubre. And the last thing we're talking about, Dave, a little bit of free agency before it starts tonight in about a couple hours. And yes, on YouTube. Does this hit YouTube? We'll wait and see. This might just be in the full show thing. But it's big enough to where we have to touch it, especially live. Gordon Hayward today, Dave, opted out of $34 million with the Boston Celtics.
Just right here to the Celtics. Just
he
right
is
here.
becoming a free agent that is per Shams. Dave, where does he go? Is it Indiana? Is it New York? Is it somebody else? Could it be a Miami? Woo. Yeah, you like that one, don't you? Scoop Bam to the 5, fucking Hayward at the 4. Fuck it, who cares?
That'd be spicy. That would be spicy. Miami does love their ball handlers.
Mm-hmm. They're going to move on from Dragic, bring in a Hayward.
Oh, man, that would be dope. I love Dragic, so I would want both. I think the Knicks have been rumored. I mentioned this earlier in the show. The Knicks have been rumored to be very interested in paying Gordon Hayward a bag of money.
Yep.
To basically be RJ Hunter's mentor, and the star of the Knicks, clearly. So I think that the Knicks would be willing to offer him a long-term deal. That one makes the most sense to me because he gets to be the number 1 on a team, which is reportedly his problem was after all of his injuries. He was basically the number 4 option on the Celtics. I don't think anyone really argues with the fact that, like, well, no shit, Jason Tatum's better than you. Jalen Brown's better than you. I mean, some people would say Kemba Walker shouldn't shoot a basketball anymore, but, like, that's not really up to us. He's got the ball in his hands more than anybody else. So, of course, you're the 4th option on that offense. So, with all that being said, I love the idea of him going to a team where he can be the guy. The whole Indy situation, I don't know if they do that because they would have to move cap to get him. And now it's no longer a trade. It's just a flat-out signing.
Yeah.
That's different.
Unless there's a true sign-and-trade thing with Boston is how you'd have to work that. But at the same time, like...
If he declined his option, he's officially an unrestricted free agent, therefore cutting the ties.
Good point.
I don't think they can sign and trade.
They would have to sign him. Like, Boston would have to sign him and then trade him.
But any other team in the league could sign him and then trade him.
Yeah, bingo. Anyone could do that. But, I mean... To me, the Knicks make the most sense here only because of one thing. If they're willing to pay him, why would he drop 34? Like, the whole thing we were thinking is, oh, he'll fucking accept the player op because that's $34 million. If the Knicks are basically like, Mr. Moneybags, here you go, why else would he reject it unless he just doesn't like playing in Boston?
Mavs or the Kings? Also, low-key teams who would be interested in Gordon Hayward. Something to think about. Both those teams would absolutely love to add someone like Gordon.
With the Kings, we got to see what's going on with the Bogdan thing first.
Oh, what the shit, Kings?
He's going to be like that deal is off. He's going to be an unrestricted. JD said Knicks don't have the cap for him now. After the trade.
I thought they literally just cleared out the cap by declining Taj, moving on from Bobby, moving on from Elfrid Payton.
They also moved, unless he's thinking about the Ed Davis trade they made, where the Jazz sent Ed Davis in 2 seconds to the...
Yeah, maybe they do a backloaded deal. Maybe they do like a 20 mil, 25, 30 mil.
If they're interested, they'll make it work, basically.
Yeah. Do you see a team like Milwaukee?
If they don't get Bogdan, yeah, fuck yeah. Like
Bogdan, Ersan's been waived. Okay. So they can't do the same deal anymore.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, if they don't get Bogdan, whether it's offering Bogdan and basically getting them that way, whether it is a different sign and trade, like if they don't get Bogdan on Milwaukee, because that was originally the plan. Like,
I'm gonna have to look it up, or someone has to tell us. I don't think you can sign and trade an unrestricted free agent.
No, I'm not saying sign and trade. I'm saying
keep saying it.
No, I'm saying like with the Kings, because he's still a restricted free agent. Bogdan
is restricted. Yeah, but with Gordon Hayward, like,
I'm not talking about Gordon. I'm talking about Bogdan.
Yeah, but with Bogdan, the Bucks already released Ersan Silva, so the contract doesn't work anymore.
Okay, I'm saying if they could have worked a different contract, I didn't know if there was other options that they could do. Like
no, because he was at like over $7 million, I think.
The simplified point: if the Bucks don't get Bogdan, no matter how that is, yes, Hayward would be in play for me. Because you got to add somebody with Drew and Giannis. Drew's not enough. Like, we were all hyped up when Bogdan and Drew were coming, and now if you're not getting Drew, you need somebody. And, like, that's the thing with Gordon Hayward of, like, the only reason why me personally wouldn't choose the Knicks is I can go to Milwaukee, I can go to Indiana and be in a fucking playoff hunt. More so Milwaukee because you're in the shot for a ship. I mean,
what if a shithole team like Cleveland was like, hey, we'll give you a bag. We're going to move on from one of the two pieces in Drummond and K-Love, but...
Dave, do I have to use the Joakim Noah quote twice today?
What about Atlanta? They were already interested in him for a trade, and now that
Atlanta would be nice. Free. Atlanta would be nice. That would fucking up there.
I think Atlanta and New York are the hot teams in the East for him. I think Washington low-key, but they don't have the money to do it.
Yeah.
Milwaukee, again, they don't have the money to do it, but if they got creative, sure. In the West, you have to look at a team. Dallas makes sense. Portland's filled in their gaps, so they're not going to do it. Memphis has money, so that one's tempting, but I don't know.
I agree with JD, though, resident Celtic fan. By far the worst case scenario for the Celtics. Can't believe that we're losing G for nothing. Celtics don't even get any cap release from losing him. Like, this goes back to what the Celtics, what we talked about. Danny Ainge not being able to pull a trigger or not being able to work a trade. Like, this was the draft trade alone. Like, this is the trade that needed to happen. You needed to have this happen. This is like, oh, fuck, who was it? The Bulls had somebody. Oh, it was fucking Rolo. Or not Rolo, Paul Gasol. That was it. Because I remember I was a new teacher at the time, and my students were asking me, oh, what do you think the trade deadline's going to hold for the Bulls?
You're saying Paul Gasol has to be moved.
And I was like, Paul Gasol has to be moved. We have to move him. And then we didn't move him, and he walked for nothing, and I was furious because we got nothing for Paul Gasol, knowing he wasn't going to be back. Like, that's how I feel Celtic fans should feel now, to where it's like, well, we didn't expect this to happen, but there was a chance it could happen. We were talking about moving him. Why didn't we move him? Like, taking Danny Ainge and shaking him. Why didn't you move Gordon?
Yeah, I agree. I'm thinking the only other team in the West who could be interested other than Dallas and maybe Memphis. I don't know the money situation in New Orleans.
Okay.
That would be
interesting.
A great signing if they have the money. And again, I don't know with all the trades that happen with Drew and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know what the cap looks like down there.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm saying from a fit perspective, a young growing team, having another ball handler down there would be great. The spacing would be ideal.
How much did I see? I'm not even gonna like a team like Portland, but I don't know what their money's like.
They're fucked on money.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, oh well, Melo, and I'm like, Melo wasn't making fucking the money Gordon would be making.
No.
Like,
but Whiteside was.
Yeah.
But then they filled in Whiteside with Rocco.
Good point.
And I think they're still up against the top because of the Dame plus CJ deals with Nurkic now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with JD that after you say in Atlanta, I hope Atlanta gets them.
Atlanta, New York would be ideal. One of those two teams, I'd love to see him on. Even Cleveland, I'd be interested in that one.
For me, I look at it and I go, New York if he wants the money, Atlanta or Milwaukee if he wants to win.
Dang.
That's what I look at. Like, but the only reason I see him getting rid of, like, basically saying bye to Boston is if he was going to get paid equal or more to what the option was. And I feel like the Knicks would be the team to do that. So my heart says Atlanta.
He wants long term. I think he'll sign I think the deal will be like a 3-year deal, but it'll be like 30 mil average.
Then my prediction is going to be New York.
7 mil average.
It's going to bite me in the butt because New York doesn't sign anybody, but I have a feeling if New York's willing to pay him and he declined it for that, like, that's why. That something was going on here. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Free agency, we'll be talking about all that on Monday after everything basically comes down through the weekend because Football Friday's tomorrow. There's a football game going on right now. Hope DK Metcalf is getting me some fantasy points because I left him. And let's see what he's got me here at the end, Dave. He got both of us because we both have him. In leagues.
Yep, sure.
He's only got me 8 points, but for you, add on a point. So he's got 1 touchdown for 1 reception. It's a touchdown, 25 yards.
Okay.
So he's got 9 points for you, 8 for me. But that's going to do it for us. Make sure to join the Discord, best community on the internet. Down below, if you're on YouTube, let us know what you think down below also. ! Discord gets you into that as well on Twitch chat. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids. That's how you go ahead and do that. You can also ! Patreon into Twitch chat. Get you that. YouTube, it's all down below. And then we're on Twitch every Monday through Friday. Twitch.tv/MVPvids. MVP Sports on YouTube, so go follow us at both places. For Dave and myself, we'll be back tomorrow for Football Friday. Keep doing what you guys do, and as always, have a good day, everybody.